And for Manchester City, it's a Saturday night football trip to Crystal Palace, who are in very poor form at the moment. No win in 10 in all competitions. But admittedly, Ben, they've proved a bit of a tricky opponent for City in the past, haven't they?
Yeah, they have, absolutely. Let's not forget last season they were the only team in the Premier League not to concede a single goal against Manchester City across the two meetings in the campaign. And this season, earlier on when they met at the Etihad, Palace were 2-0 up before Erling Haaland did what he does best, scored a hat-trick, and City eventually won 4-2. So Pep Guardiola knows the importance of this tie. He also knows just how tricky Crystal Palace can be. They can't afford to drop points on the road, especially not with Arsenal going to Fulham and then having another game themselves before the international break. Remember, City, because of that FA Cup tie, this is their final game before the international break. The gap at the top of the table is already 5 points. They'll want to make sure on Saturday evening they cut that to 2.
Well, I've not been with him to know exactly in the locker room with him, but with experience as a football player. Apart of that, he was in France. He already have a big experience, and with Crystal Palace have done a really good job. Premier League, every game away is difficult, at home as well. But whose part always have been. Yeah, definitely. Crystal Palace always in the previous season, especially at home, we struggle a lot to get results.
And in terms of this fixture, a 230-mile trip for City down to Selhurst Park. So, Ben, have they adapted travel plans for this fixture? Because there has been snow predicted as well.
Yeah, we've had a bit of snow in this part of the world over the last 24, 48 hours. I mean, as I look out the window here now, it's beautiful, bright sunshine. So actually, we're OK at this point. But it's also about that travel to London. Now, look, City, let's not forget, have just come off the back of this period where they've been on the road a lot. They had a period of 5 consecutive away matches until last weekend's home game against Newcastle. They had that game against Tottenham. It was around that match in particular where Pep Guardiola admitted that he was exhausted by the long travel. And I think there were slight issues that day. As he spoke about, it took them 6 hours to get from Manchester to their hotel, which, given it's a 3-hour train journey or a 3.5-hour drive, is a long time, admittedly. Crystal Palace, Selhurst Park, slightly more tricky to get to than Spurs. But today, the City squad will be training now. Then they're going to fly down this evening to London. So it's going to be a flight. It should be, hopefully for their sake, relatively straightforward. Because, as I said previously, this is a hugely important game for Pep Guardiola and the title race. And the whole team here, Pep Guardiola, his coaching staff, and those that make the decisions on travel have done everything they can to ensure as smooth a journey as possible.
No. The team manager organized the trip as usual, so we will travel by plane in the early night, late afternoon, and hopefully we can land safe and go to hotel.
So Pep Guardiola and his players will be making their way down to London today ahead of tomorrow night's game, Saturday night football, huge game for Manchester City. As I say, their final game in the Premier League before the international break, and they can't afford to drop any points against Crystal Palace. Just one quick note on team news. Phil Foden, we saw him here training earlier in the week after he complained of that ongoing foot injury. As far as Guardiola is concerned, he is fine, fit to travel and fit to play.
Ben, thank you very much indeed.